right, good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, May 12th, 2014. And this is Before the First Cup with Jules and Lady Pitbull on UCY.tv. Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I just made it by a hair.
Skin of your teeth, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I got like major lockups going on here.
I do too, and I just refreshed my whole entire computer like before we went on, and now it's locking up and I only have like 2 windows open.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah, I got everything here is in freeze frame at the moment, not responding.
Oh my god.
On my other machine, like all my windows, everything it's not even shutting down.
I had these articles that I was ready to read, and now they're all gone because I had to restart my computer. So,
oh no! Go into Control H for history.
Oh yeah,
on the browser.
I think I put it for delete history every time.
Oh,
I never
should at least keep it for a day.
Yeah, that's true.
Just in case. I was just gonna try and get to like all my feeds. I can't even get to a browser.
Aw. I am looking at a giant black wall of cloud and thunderstorm coming right at me, and
oh yeah, I guess that's what Paul was just saying to me, that it's beautiful and 60 here right now, sunny. It's really nice, but he said big storms tonight.
Yeah, they're crossing over like my line of sight right now. In fact, I just saw a giant lightning bolt right directly in front of me, so it's coming right at me.
You have headphones on?
Yes, I do.
Be careful, I don't like wearing headphones when there's big bolts of lightning flying around.
I know. Oh my god. So, don't know what's gonna happen here if the power goes out. I mean, I still have battery power on my computer. In fact, let me make sure that that's happening here. There we go. So, yeah, it looks kind of crazy. It's coming in right, I mean, it should be here in like less than 10 minutes, so.
This will be great. Well, if I can get my browser up in the next 10 minutes so we have a show, that might work out alright even if you're gone. But if we can't, then this isn't going to be a fun show.
No, but we won't think that way, so. It was kind of cool on Saturday. I was on with Jimmy, and my headphone cord reaches all the way out to my porch. So I was actually out there on my deck doing the show. And I was looking at the moon, and the frogs were peeping, and Jimmy thought that there were little hamsters like that. He's like,
yeah, I heard that. It was the peeper frogs.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. I don't want to stand out there so everybody can hear the thunder and the lightning.
Yeah, no, and standing as a lightning rod's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Not so good. That's so good.
I couldn't go outside. My neighbors I'm too loud.
Oh my goodness. 'Cause you have those remote, you've got those cordless headphones, don't you?
I have one set of wireless headphones, but I took them upstairs to use for listening to Pandora late at night.
That's nice.
Because out here, I mean, it gets cold out here in the wintertime. And so what would happen is, the cold would completely uncharge the battery every night. So I'd get out here in the morning and it would be dead regardless of how much I charged it the night before, because the cold made it go dead.
I see. Well, you won't have that problem for another few months.
No, but those have moved upstairs and become recreational headphones. But the one thing that's cool is my spot in front of the fireplace. I have a spot on the hearth, and I have my computer sitting on a little table that's next to the hearth. So I can sit on the hearth and I can have the hearth open. So if I'm up there and I want to have a smoke, I can open the fireplace up and smoke out the chimney.
There you go. Hey.
Yeah, it works all right. And I got like an old chair cushion on the hearth that I sit on so my butt doesn't hurt on the stone.
There you go.
I discovered the other day that it's unbelievably far. I didn't realize how far Bluetooth went. The first thing I noticed was I could be listening to Pandora in the living room and walk all the way across to the kitchen and go to the fridge. And I was like, wow, I still got music going on. But then I was like, oh man, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I go all the way past the fridge into the dining room and then up the stairs and over. And I was like, man, I still have music. But it's not like it's 802.11. It's Bluetooth. Now I thought Bluetooth was just short distances, and it typically was for your personal area network. Like a wide area network is when you have a bunch of disparate places connected together, like your business. You have an office in New York and one in California. That's a wide area. Then your local area network is in one facility, let's say. So your office in New York, and you have 100 employees and they're all networked together.
Oh, I see, right.
Then you can share information between each other, or as a big local area network, and you can do the same in the wide area. You can also pipe in one internet connection, as long as it's a big enough pipe, right? So everyone can share it. Everyone doesn't need to have their own internet connection.
Sure.
Personal area network is this is kind of like with these smart, watches and stuff. This is why this is kind of scary. The Regina Duggan next generation smart devices. That's all talking about personal area networks, using your watch, let's say, to be the central point, and then having all of these other devices connect to you as you walk by them. And Bluetooth was only meant to be like short term, not and I guess you can connect things long term. It seems to be pretty stable, but initially when it first started, it wasn't. It was supposed to be like for short term stuff, like you had a cell phone and you wanted to download your pictures to your computer.
Mm-hmm.
So just enable, Bluetooth on your computer and on your phone, and there you go. It's like an ad hoc connection, on demand. Beep, I'm connected. Dump my stuff. Beep, I'm disconnected.
Right.
But I'm just really floored because I never really played with it at the time. I was not, like my Firefox now does not even work.
Oh my God.
I launched it after it all crashed. I launched it and it just sits there with a thing spinning.
That happened to me yesterday. Firefox just my computer completely froze. I had to reboot, and then all of a sudden it was a big old lightning bolt. All of a sudden I rebooted, and then Firefox has a whole different look. All my tabs are different.
I thought it was Chrome. I'm like,
it's not.
But this is Chrome. No, and it doesn't even say Firefox anywhere now. And it looks like Chrome, but yeah, I just closed it again for the fourth freaking time and put in Facebook, and it just spins. It has no connection to anything.
Maybe this is their way to get us off this internet grid here. And the Internet 2 or whatever the hell they have.
Oh, don't turn me into a slasher, please.
Slasher. Baseball baddie or...
Yeah, that's what I start to feel like when I get aggravated like this and I start looking at the disaster that they're making of everything. I really start to feel like that.
Oh, I bet.
I start to have visions of smashing things.
I understand.
I've done that before, so it's not like it's just some out there fantasy. You don't ever want to piss me off to that point, man.
Oh my God. That I do not doubt.
Oh, I don't know if I ever told that story about the messed up boyfriends who I caught doing shit when I was out of town for work every time. And, I had irrefutable proof. And that mother saw a chick rip apart a PC with open guts with her bare hands.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, did I go psycho. You don't ever want to get me to that point. I think that was probably the maddest I've ever been.
Wow.
He ran. I don't even think he got his stuff. He sent his dad and his brother like a month later to come get his stuff. He ran. Oh, I was like,
I don't mean to laugh, but that's kind of funny now. You know what I mean?
psycho.
Oh, shit.
I don't get like that often, but push me.
Right.
And keep pushing me.
Has your husband ever seen that?
No.
Oh, that's good. I don't know if I've ever been like that. I mean, I can't recall really. I've been angry, but
I reserve it for secret weapon.
oh, that's nice. And it really is a weapon too, because if people think that you're like totally like getting ready to freak out and like have an episode or whatever, people will run away.
You just gotta know how to like aim it like a laser beam.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find it hard though to stay cool all the time. All right, I think I got in at least to one page. Let's see if we can open another tab. Oh, or will this be too difficult? Oh, hey, look. All right, so when I was so rudely interrupted by Firefox, what I was saying was, long story short, Bluetooth used to be, at least initially, was going to be for personal area networks. It wasn't supposed to be for anything long term. I didn't realize that it had a range from my fireplace to my bathroom. Okay. I thought it was only like within a 5 or a 10 foot radius, something really small. So there was a little bit of privacy involved, even if you didn't have encryption. And I don't know. I think they do have encrypted connections. Don't quote me on that. I haven't used encryption on my Bluetooth, and just trying to think, I haven't seen anything that says generate a WEP key or anything like that, so I'm not sure if it's encrypted, but the big deal was, it was for easy access, but the downside is everybody's got Bluetooth, and most of us on our cell phones or on our devices have Bluetooth enabled without even being aware that it's enabled.
Oh, right. I
would highly recommend to everybody, go on your cell phone and double check that your Bluetooth is turned off, because just like that, I want to call it warhammering. I think that is what they call it, maybe, where they drive around a neighborhood with a notebook on their lap and they look for unsecured wireless networks to go hack into, or at least have unauthorized internet access so they can go do shit without getting caught, right? It ends up on your address. Well, I mean, think about walking back. Like I said, I thought Bluetooth was supposed to only be within a very small radius, but if it is, in fact, like 20, I don't even know how many feet that is. I mean, it's from one side of my house to the other. That's a pretty good distance. If your phone has Bluetooth turned on and you're walking through a crowd, you're walking through a mall, not that any of us go there, you're on the beach, you're in a bar, and somebody else has a Bluetooth device, just like with the whatever it's called, whatever, when you go with the notebook, they could be doing the same thing with your Bluetooth phone. And if there's no encryption, that means there's no key. That means your phone is wide open for data to be stolen.
Oh boy. I'm obsessed about keeping that Bluetooth thing off.
Well, let this be a public service announcement.
Hey, there you go. That's awesome.
But like I said, I probably wouldn't have even mentioned it until I realized what a range there is. And maybe it's just the weather because it's been clear. I don't know, but I had no idea it was that far.
You should do an experiment, like go outside your house and walk down the sidewalk and see how far it goes.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles, you know.
Wouldn't that be freaky if someone could get your Bluetooth from outside your house?
Yeah, I mean, like, 'cause if it goes to the road and then, or it goes to the end of your driveway and then you cross the road and it's still enabled and you can still hear the music, then somebody driving past your house, you know what I mean? Could totally get into your stuff, huh?
Here's another thing too. I've been noticing some weirdo stuff here over the last few months. Hasn't happened consistently. It's been intermittent, but it's happened 4 or 5 times now. And the first time I blamed it on solar flares. Mm-hmm. And even maybe the second time, but then the third time is when I pulled into the driveway and I noticed, well, I've been losing my cell signal, and not only my cell signal, but I have my 3G and then I have my Wi-Fi, right? And so if you set your phone to Wi-Fi, it'll default to Wi-Fi if it detects a Wi-Fi signal, right? It won't go to 3G. Okay. As soon as you're out of your Wi-Fi signal range, though, then it cuts over to 3G, to the telephone network. So, I've noticed a couple times where I've been here, I've gone to get a message. I'm like, how come I was supposed to get a message? I didn't have any messages, and I turn my phone on, and I see my phone has a big red circle and a line through it on my connectivity.
Weird.
There's no 3G. It's a big circle with a red line through it. I was like, huh. Well, it's solar flares. It's not that bizarre. I mean, it could happen, especially if there's a lot of electromagnetic interference. Mm-hmm. So and it was almost the entire evening, by the way, that I had no service on my phone. Now I did on, I couldn't get wireless. I couldn't get 3G. I could get wireless on my notebook though, so. I know it wasn't my router. Second time it happened, I was in the living room. I was downstairs that time. I was in the living room, and I was like, wow, that's weird. I asked Paul, I'm like, do you have service? He's like, no, I don't have service either. So I thought maybe a tower went down or something, right? So it wasn't flares. I have tools for that, and there were no flares, but maybe the tower had gone down. So alright, I gave them 2 passes. The third time, I am driving home. I'd probably been to the res, or maybe I went and got coffee or something. I pull into my driveway, my phone is on my seat. It's got full signal. I used it while I was out. I turn into the driveway, and as soon as I pull into the driveway, I turn the car off, I look down, I got a red circle with a line through it on my 3G again.
Bizarre.
I was like, wait a second. Either we just had some whacked out solar flares, or I pulled into my driveway and I lost my signal. So I start my car up and I back up, and sure enough, I back up and I get my signal back.
Bizarre. That's even weirder.
Now, tell me if that is not bizarre. Now, what comes to mind is a conversation that Dinah and I had a long time ago when I first met her, and she was telling me about weirdo stuff like that happening to her, saying that there were dampening fields that they can use to turn off your communications, like within a location.
Sure.
I'd never heard of that before. Well, so get this. So, I don't know. I of course told Paul, he gets all mad, raises an eyebrow, and he's like, that damn radio network. So, I'm out hanging with my dad last weekend, or weekend before, 2 weekends ago. And we go down to visit our friends, so we're out in the woods somewhere. And, he told me I left. I was down there for a couple of days. I left and came home. And, well, my mom told me first, she's like, do you know where your father is? I was like, no, he was down at Butch's. Well, he's not answering his phone. So she had to call one of the other neighbors down there to go check on my father. And my father was fine. He was doing his usual thing, sitting there listening to music, having a cocktail, whatever.
That's
He's
great.
like, what the hell is she talking about? His phone won't work. His phone worked just fine while I was there. He goes to, there's absolutely no signal. He had no signal through until the next day. And then he decided he was leaving. So he got a signal back when he took off. So then, for Mother's Day weekend and Munchkin's birthday party, they were all here. He's in my living room. He has the no signal thing going on again.
Weird.
And he's like, Joel, I'm going to tell you what, there is some messed up stuff going on. Why is it when you're around, I don't get a signal on my cell phone? I was like, no kidding. Again? And mine actually was okay at that point. So I don't know. All I'm saying is I've been seeing some weird stuff. So yesterday, now here's another new thing on my cell phone. My keyboard locks up. Now Skype I don't ever use on my phone anymore. Though when my phone locks up, it always tells me that Skype has stopped responding. So I'm thinking the NSA is using Skype for some sort of surveillance.
All right.
But now my keyboard is having major issues, and I noticed it's anytime I type something like gun, bomb, things like that, or I've looked at something like that on the web,
right,
that my keyboard starts having major issues on my phone. Now, I don't know, I wasn't on my PC last night, but I was on my phone. and absolute keyboard lockup, halfway through a sentence, lockup. Then you go back and you're typing. No letters typed, but it's still recognizing letters that you're typing. So, you know what I have been looking at?
Strange.
I had finished my eBay auction. Guys, I found one of the most awesome things ever, and I got it for $15.
Oh, right on.
Oh no, I take it back. It was $25.
Oh.
But I'm gonna sell some of them, so it'll be alright.
What'd you get?
G.I. Joe.
Yay!
Mixed lot. Over 100. 100 G.I. Joe little pistols with gun holders. I won.
Awesome.
You know the ones I sent you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost the semi-automatic and I didn't get the swords. But I've been seeing these on eBay. People have been selling them for $10 a piece. So some woman must have cleaned out her kid's room after he grew up, and she just had these huge lots starting at 99 cents. So I've been following this since last week. So for a while it was sitting at 15. And I did. I had my max bid at 25 and it closed last night. And,
awesome.
But there's over 100 of them there. Think about it. If people are selling them at $10 a piece and they're putting them up for auctions. So what I saw is there was a G.I. Joe collector book when I was shopping for my Munchkin's birthday. I saw that. I was like, hey, look at that. So I think I'm going to get the collector book. We're going to figure out if any of these guns are worth some money.
That's cool.
Maybe I can finance the network with G.I. Joe stuff.
And what else is cool is you can arm every single one of her Barbie dolls.
I know. Well, I was on that day, or I don't know who was on with me that day. Yeah, I think you were when I was talking about the G.I. Joe.
Yeah, it was me.
So I won a lot too. There was a lot I got for $10 that had a whole pile of accessories, like just all jumbled. So I don't even know what's going to be in there, but it was $10. 3 G.I. Joes, mint condition, all dressed in different outfits, and then this mountain full of accessories. And I'm pretty sure that one looked like a bazooka.
That's great.
So I really want to take one of those G.I. Joes. She can have 2 G.I. Joe boyfriends, so at least she'll have 2 that have testosterone. But I'm going to take one, and he's going to be our UCY mascot, and I got to go through her Barbie stuff. I'm going to find some bottles.
Awesome.
So, and I think there might even be a gun, not a gun, a semi-automatic and a knife in that mountain of accessories with the other 3 dolls. So we'll see. I'm going to get a picture, I think, every day. And we're going to have G.I. Joe in some new compromising position here on my desk. And that's going to be the announcement for the show.
That's cool. That's cool, actually. I love that idea. And you can have Barbie holding a bazooka too, you know what I mean?
Yeah! I was like, oh god. I'm gonna have the questions. Mom, what's this? Mom, what's this? That's a bazooka, and that's a rocket, whatever they call them. Guy's rocket launcher. They have those. But, so anyway, getting back to my phone, I said I noticed, especially with the keyboard, weird things happening if I've been looking at something online. So I had just been bidding the final minute, and all 3 of those auctions ended at the same time, by the way.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was trying to juggle all 3 of them, and I only won 1 out of 3, but, I'd been looking at semi-automatics, pistols, and machetes, but NSA wouldn't know now, would they? They think I'm looking at these on eBay. You're seeing all these pictures of 100 handguns.
Oh my god.
I was like, they're that retarded. God. I hope somebody chokes on the little round candy they're sucking on as they're watching it.
Oh my god, you've probably been flagged by the ATF.
I probably have been, but what a bunch of dipshits. If they're gonna come after me for G.I. Joe gear, okay? I hope they do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that'll be a nice, tidy little lawsuit. Jeez. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, anybody here, if Zori got abducted by the FBI
Yeah, I don't know.
They were sending, I know the FBI had opened an investigation into all the people over at the Bundy Ranch. Right?
Yep.
We knew that they had drones flying over there.
Yep. And the FBI, all of a sudden, well, they just announced that they're opening up a formal investigation. We know that they were already in there long before that. They were already infiltrating these militia groups that are in there now. You know what I mean? So they've been there for a while already. I think we can safely assume that to be the case. But they just wanted to formally announce the, we're gonna start the investigation. Wow, there is some hardcore lightning coming down. Pretty amazing.
Well, then we better
Did you
get
guys
started.
get a siren just now?
No.
Yeah, there was a siren that blew just now. I think it wasn't the tornado siren though. It was the volunteer firefighters.
You're sure, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive. So.
Well, there was some interesting news that happened yesterday. So if you want, we can get.
Sure.
I can at least start rolling. So in case you get knocked off air.
Yeah, go for it.
You know, tell you what though, my connection here between talk. I can't hear you. Damn it. Here, talk again.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
I guess I'm gonna have to put you on speaker or something.
Oh,
yeah,
that
I
sucks.
can hear you now, but
Oh, good.
my connection now on this set of headphones is going south. What the?
Oh my god.
You know, I just had to buy another set of headphones because this set started to go. Yeah. And now this set is really starting to go. And I was like living large that I had a set on each machine. Damn it.
That's nuts.
I don't like having to keep spending money on shit.
Whoa.
Unless there was money coming in. I heard that. But there isn't.
Ah, you heard that.
That's why I'm buying G.I. Joe shit on eBay now, trying to figure out ways to make some cash. All right.
Wow.
EPA worker watched porn daily and wasn't fired. So, apparently porn was more important than the radiation monitors.
Wow.
Hold on, we're gonna, pull in Jules. Hey, people gotta let me know too. I noticed, Friday, there's been, we've had a few issues with the sound, and I discovered that it was a dirty switch. Here,
Oh.
you guys are probably going to hear feedback here in a second, as soon as the chat room loads up. Let me just hit this, turn it off. Off. Come on, load, baby, so I can turn you off. Nope. 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 Oh my god.
Crazy.
Oh, I heard that one too. Yeah, I didn't even think that's gonna load. And by the way, guys, you know what I think is crashing our machines is Flash.
Really?
You know, that started a couple weeks ago on Facebook with the Facebook chat. And actually, I think that that's what's bombing my phone now too. But the Facebook chat keeps saying that it's Flash crashed. There we go. And now it's just crashing everything. But, as far as the sound, it ended up being a bad, not a bad switch, but a dirty switch on the, equalizer. No. Mixer. And I didn't realize that channel 1 was for any of the pre-records and channel 2 was for Skype. So when I was trying to fix it, I cranked up channel 2, which is why then when May would come on or any of the pre-recorded shows, everyone was really loud before. And then when the pre-record came out, everyone's like, I can't hear it. It's because I didn't realize that both channels were connected to something. So got that all figured out now. I think that the levels are pretty even. If I'm sounding distorted, when I went to go post the archive for the show on Friday, I always do a spot check just to make sure there's audio, and I thought I sounded really distorted. So somebody let me know, because I need to start practicing not being so close to this microphone.
Oh, that's right. It was I actually was trying to listen to you while I was working on Friday. It was the first time that I've ever heard Iota's voice, and I was like,
yeah,
really
that was
excited.
so much fun.
was cool. And yeah, you were kind of overdriving a little bit.
Yeah, and it was
Sound
because
fine
I
right
had
now.
it cranked up.
Oh.
I didn't realize it. I mean, I didn't know. So,
You sound fine now.
okay, good. And I have a bad habit with this boom that I just like get when I'm really into it. I just get my face right up to the mic, but I gotta stop doing that because that makes it too loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's bounce back here because I wanted to talk about this EPA watching porn daily instead of watching radiation meters, or instead of watching, I don't know, levels of mercury in groundwater, or what? The West Virginia coal slurry spill? What's that? What? The water? They're just getting around now. There was a story, literally. When was that coal slurry spill? It was months ago, right?
Yeah, months ago, yeah.
Wait, let me scroll down through here because there was just a story a day or two ago that they are just testing some water now.
Just now?
Yeah, now.
Oh my god.
Wait, it was a picture of a dude standing next to a sink looking like he's going to be brushing his teeth. And remember, they were bringing the water, right? And then, FEMA, and then they just stopped bringing water, and then we find out that the news people went and tested, and there wasn't one chemical, wasn't there 2 or 3? After they said it was safe. After they said it was safe. Here you go. Oh, no, it wasn't the water. Here. 4 months after massive West Virginia spill, the EPA is now going to test the safety of inhaling fumes of the chemicals that have been spilled in the water supply.
My god, you gotta be kidding me.
No. 4 months later. Now we're just going to test and see whether or not it's safe. And they show the EPA dude with the sinks running with a handful of water and he's sniffing it.
Yeah, sniff away, dude. Oh my god.
Nearly
So I guess porn is more important than testing the air sample in the water.
Right. Well, or making sure that we're not in any danger. Nope, nothing to see here. I'm watching my porn.
Alright.
Nearly 4 months after coal cleaning chemical mixture spilled into Elk River and contaminated water for the 300,000 West Virginia residents, the Environmental Protection, the Environmental Porn Agency, the EPA,
That's great.
will test chemical in air. So whatever that chemical is, they don't tell you, and set a corresponding safety limit for breathing the fumes. So you mean to tell me that this agent that's been floating around there for 4 months doesn't even have like any test done to say whether or not it's dangerous and how much? Does that not sound like what that just said?
It is exactly what that just said.
This decision marks the first time officials will take into account potential impacts beyond ingestion of the chemicals and comes after the EPA asked on 2 previous occasions about setting a standard for inhalation. So while the new standard could come in the future, it will offer little comfort to the thousands of West Virginians already exposed to chemical vapors. I am at a loss as to what the utility is to the 300,000 people from this particular test, said Raul Gupta, the head of the Kewanna Charleston Health Department, with the EPA sampling to occur in the next few months. So let's add that. Talk about like insult to injury. They've waited 4 months and now it's going to be a few more months even before they set a standard.
Jeez, there's more porn to watch.
More porn. Ken Ward of the Charleston Gazette points out that the standard new air sampling method may not even be ready in time to inform the impending cleanup of the spill site and dismantling the tanks that held the chemicals. This is a particular concern considering West Virginia's Department of Environmental Protection officials and investigators from the U.S. Chemical Safety Board have cautioned that the demolition of the storage tanks at the Freedom site could prompt the release of more chemicals into the air and bring back the licorice-like odor that the residents all became familiar with after the leak. Wow. So they've all been exposed to this stuff for months and it smells like licorice.
Jeez.
Residents were told not to use their water for anything other than flushing the toilet. And then officials scrambled to set the safety limit for the amount of crude MCHM detected in the water supply, which is that chemical that smells like licorice, and discovered an alarming dearth of scientific studies to back up this threshold. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention told local health officials that a level below 1 part per million was considered safe. The scientific foundation for which was repeatedly called into question. The weeks that followed brought more chaos and fewer answers as the amount of chemicals spilled was raised repeatedly. Additional chemicals were reported, and residents continue to show up at area hospitals with symptoms consistent with exposure to MCHM. In addition to drawing from a study that only tested MCHM on animals, not humans, the 1 part per million safety limit set by the CDC did not take into account other forms of exposure, such as inhalation. This despite the fact that officials at the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Services told NBC affiliate WSAZ in the immediate wake of the spill that symptoms of exposure include, quote, severe burning in the throat, severe eye irritation, non-stop vomiting, trouble breathing, and severe skin irritation such as skin blistering, unquote. Now that to me sounds like some pretty serious ass shit.
Yeah.
Especially if they told you not to use your water for anything other than flushing the toilet. So I don't know. The story's almost over. All of us here are using the water now, and we're okay. But I'm young, and I don't want to be finding out that I have cancer in 30 years because of this water, unquote, said a 30-year-old resident, Kelly Rains, to Think Progress, this publication that I'm reading out of. So, gee, but you know what? Isn't that how plausible deniability goes?
That's right. I was just going to say plausible deniability, baby.
What? You got cancer in 2050? Well, guess what, honey? It probably was all the cigarettes you smoked.
Right.
Had nothing to do with that super close slurry cleaning agent you were drinking for 4 months that they didn't warn you about. Now, that reminds me of an audio clip of a phone call, and you know what? Dane's Wall is such a mess too because so many people post to it. Oh, I wish there was an easy way for me to find it. I want to find a clip. This is before we go to the porn story, because there was one of his listeners that called the EPA in regards to chemtrails.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, I found it.
Yay.
Yay! All right, here, let's see if we can play this.
Sweet.
This was some pretty major stuff with this. It was just a receptionist on the other end of the line, but she started flapping her yap. I was like, whoa! I wonder if she got canned after this went on the internet and went viral.
Oh, interesting.
And they informed her at the end they were recording the call, which legally they should have actually told her at the beginning.
Yeah.
But they did tell her at the end, and she's like, oh, okay. So she didn't seem to have an issue with it.
There you go.
This was from April 28th, so this was only a couple weeks ago. This is on Dane's geoengineeringwatch.org, titled, EPA rep has loose lips about geoengineering. It sounds to me like she's actually watched Dane's movie. What and why in the world are they spraying, right?
Wow.
She's mentioned them a couple times, but she was mentioning those like those were the answer. Like, well, we don't know who's spraying or what they're spraying. We don't even know who's in charge, but there's these documentaries that you gotta watch, and it's not us. So again, this is the EPA. That's what I want to bring to your attention. The Environmental Protection Agency that is not doing anything to protect your environment, it seems.
Yeah. So why are they even there in existence?
I don't know. And that dumb bitch that used to be in charge,
Yeah.
Oh, let me think of her name. When I saw her go on Jon Stewart after all the radiation monitors were turned off and he gave her a free pass, anyone who sits there and touts Jon Stewart. I mean, in the beginning, I thought Jon Stewart was cool, and I was like, wow, he's got some pretty hard-hitting stuff at times, like scathing, but he's doing it with laughter. Awesome, right? Because you're getting an audience that you normally wouldn't get. And he'd look at some geopolitics, and, I mean, he's very left-wing, but he also is very funny at times. And I hate politics, so anyone who can make me laugh and pay attention to politics, I was like, hey, he's A-okay in my book. Now, we found out since, isn't his brother the head of the stock exchange?
Oh, that I didn't know.
He's a big boy on Wall Street. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But after, what is her name? I can't remember the woman's name. I'll look it up while this clip is on. But the woman who used to be in charge of the EPA, who then there were all kinds of, there was a fraud investigation right at the end, but I think it was just for misappropriation of funds. But this woman was completely incompetent, and she was just another puppet. But I had messaged Jon Stewart, and if you remember too, maybe you don't, but I was very in tune to all this at the time. Jon Stewart's show was on NBC, and NBC is owned by GE, and they were running, or was he on Comedy Central now?
He was on Comedy Central.
Well, all right, NBC is still owned by GE, who makes all the reactors. But he started having nuclear reactor companies advertising on his show, so there was a huge boycott, and I think there's still a Facebook page out there called, F you Jon Stewart or something.
Oh, wow.
And Libby Haleve keeps saying, if anyone can get me on Jon Stewart's show, and I think that's why, because he has the nuclear industry is now sponsoring his show. So I'm going to tell you what, if you think you're going to get any truth there, you're not. Nope. There might be dribbles of truth, but when he had that chick on from the EPA and I had emailed him and I had shown there were all kinds of links and things, and I'm like, ask her why these are all turned off. Ask her why we're not paying attention to the radiation from Fukushima. Ask her why they turn off the atmospheric simulator to find out where the fallout's going. Ask her how they can be positive there's no contamination when no one's testing anything. And there was not one question. Not one. Now, if you're going to do an interview and you call yourself a journalist and you are not going to ask one tough question, he freaking stroked her for the whole interview. That's when I turned him off. I didn't want to hear another freaking word out of Jon Stewart. You can go screw off, Stewart. In sack of shit. All you had to do was ask her a couple hard questions.
Did you ever get a response from that email?
No, I didn't.
Of course not. Instead, you probably got a red flag.
Oh, I probably did. Look, it's a radical. She's threatening him. No, I wasn't threatening. I was saying you got to ask this woman some hard questions.
Mm-hmm.
Taxpayer dollars, and they turned it all off. And saying that there's every single report was the levels are so low that there's no harm to human health. Well, if anyone's been paying attention to my Fukushima facts page, and you've been seeing over the last few weeks some of the real numbers now that are coming out of TEPCO.
Oh my God.
We're talking 400 followed by 80 zeros. No, I'm exaggerating, but maybe 30 zeros, whatever that number is. That's some of the amounts that dumped out of there in the beginning. And oh, what? We found part of the fuel rods that exploded in reactor number 3, the plutonium, the MOX, the really toxic stuff that could kill everything on planet Earth 10,000 times the amount that's been pulverized and released in the atmosphere. You found part of that fuel rod in Norway?
What?
We did. Yeah, they did. They found it in Norway. They're like, well, that's 5,000 some odd miles, and it had to pass over the United States to get here. Yep, it did. We can actually, if you want to talk about that, we can look at that later too, because I almost shit when I saw that. But I knew, and I'll tell you why I knew that they were lying from day one, because France didn't lie in day one. For all the horrible, nasty things I said about Sarkozy, France is very in bed with the nuclear industry. Areva is the name of the company in France. Areva is actually the one that was responsible for shipping all the MOX fuel to frickin' Fukushima. That was the French's fuel, okay?
Shit.
So, right days after, within a week, the French, whatever their environmental protection agency is, they have, because of Chernobyl, Europe has radiation detectors all over Europe, right? Because, I mean, they had to deal with this a long time ago.
Right.
Well, France has them all over. They have all these pinpoints. You can go out there. There's I was going to call it URDEP, but that's the European earthquake. I have them. They're on the Fukushima Facts website for the different regions. There's the European one. There's also the Japanese, and then there's like 3 or 4 for the U.S. But, France, in the very beginning, there was no information on this end. France was warning that they had already found it in the milk, they had found it in the rainwater, and they started finding it on produce, and it highly recommended that pregnant women and children because their body size is so much smaller, so it gets much more concentrated. And I am literally talking within a week of the accident. This was out on the website. It said that pregnant women and children should not be drinking milk, eating things such as soft cheeses, anything that like they were saying, hard cheeses. Aged hard cheeses are fine because they're 6 months on out, which I got an entire freezer of aged provolone that at some point I'm going to have to start defrosting because I don't know how long cheese freezes for, if it even does well, but I did. I was buying European cheeses by the block that was aged because I was like, well, we're never going to be able to eat cheese. Now, of course, we probably all have the beginnings of stomach cancer because everyone's kind of forgotten about it.
Right.
But, anyway, cheeses, anything that wasn't aged, don't eat. Strawberries in particular, something that doesn't have, skin that you can peel.
Mm-hmm.
And stay out of the rainwater. I mean, a week after the accident, France was already warning people they were detecting, radionuclides in France. Well, gee, people, I was smart enough to realize that for it to get to France, it had to kind of cross over us.
Yeah.
So, if France was already warning of danger and our EPA was going, no, nothing to see here, people, no levels detected of any significance in any food or anything. So anyway.
Well, congratulations, France. You got your radiation back.
Yeah, you got it all back.
You bastards.
But the fact that they found like fragments of fuel rod in Norway?
That's crazy, man.
That's insane.
Fragments of fuel rod, which means what? The explosion propelled the sucker?
You know, honestly, it didn't tell you how big it was. But that's what I was thinking. I mean, that explosion was a nuclear explosion. If anyone saw reactor number 3 blow up, compared to reactor number 1, which was a hydrogen explosion, reactor number 3, put it side by side next to a nuclear detonation, and you will see that they had a full-out nuclear explosion in that reactor. Whoa. So, it blew all those rods, and who the hell even knows how many rods were sitting on top of it in that fuel pool. Wow. So, all that stuff, I mean, in the other reactors, I'm trying to remember the exact numbers. In 4, the one that's sinking and falling apart, that has already dried out, and they've had to weld the crack where all the water was leaking out. It was already on fire a few times. There were 3, I'm trying to remember the grand total. I think grand total there's 6,700 rods, but that's combined. I don't remember what was in for, if it was 1,900, if it was 3,000. But you know what? Like I've said before, the reason why I haven't been following Fukushima really closely anymore is because if it's 10 bazillion or 10 quadrillion million, who the fuck cares?
It doesn't matter.
A whole hell of a lot of shit in our air that shouldn't have been there, that all evaporated, and we inhaled it. So it doesn't really matter at this point.
It's raining outside right now. I don't want to go running out there.
You know what? I'll tell you what, in the beginning, I got it on my scalp a couple times, and I ended up with sore spots where I got hit by the rain in my hair. And my cat Casey died. I was so dumb. He got out. He was old anyway, and he wouldn't pee in the litter box anymore, and he had arthritis. And so he kept peeing by the door because he wanted to go out back, except he was an indoor cat. So I don't know where that ever came from. But Fukushima had happened. It was probably a month or so into Fukushima. I can't stand cat piss. And if a cat's pissing on my floor, man, you better come up with some other answer, because that's not going to fly very long. I don't care how sick you are. You're going to end up in a corral somewhere with nothing but a litter box and a bowl of food.
Right.
And, but I made the mistake of letting him out. And he was a really old cat, but he's got like this little spot, which none of them go in there anymore, but I had built this little kitty corral off my deck so the cats could sit out there. And I used to let them sit out there on a nice summer day and they'd watch the chipmunk run around.
Sure.
But he went in there and, about 2 days later, I noticed, and I thought maybe because he wasn't drinking water, but then afterward I thought about it and I was like, oh no, I didn't do that to him. His whole nose started to peel off.
Oh my God, dude.
He died very shortly thereafter. He couldn't breathe anymore. It was really horrible. But it was after I had let him out that he really like tanked big time and he was dead in a couple days.
Oh my God.
But I mean, he'd already been very sick. The cat, he wasn't doing too well at all. But yeah, after I let him outside, he stopped not even being able to walk. And then his nose started to peel off and then he died. It was awful. It was really awful.
It is awful.
But you know, small animals like that, they're very like children. They don't need a lot and they put their nose to the ground and sniff everything. So.
And that's it. That's pretty much the end. I thought that would be all she wrote if it was just a few days after Fukushima.
And I can tell you, I had all the meters. I got some of the last meters that were available at that time, my digital one, and then I had some of the yellow Victorine. And, within like the first 3 or 4 days, I was getting pegs out my back door when it was pouring with rain. And then I think I mentioned to you that both me and then later I found out after I had mentioned it to my husband that he had also tasted metal. We were tasting metal and I had this coating on my tongue. Like it felt like something was on there. Like, you know, if you spill oil on something and then you try and get it off, but there's always that coating of oil unless you use like a degreaser. Well, it didn't actually feel like oil, but it was some sort of coating. After I had been tasting the metal, my tongue was coated with something. Like I had no taste on it anymore.
That's so gross.
Yeah, I think I got a good dose of whatever that was. It was probably good plutonium dust.
Probably. I mean, and the jet stream goes right over Michigan.
Oh yeah, we all got nailed actually. If you look, even from the tests in the 50s, I talked about this. One of my friends and I were looking at the 50s fallout maps that he had. And it was Texas and the Great Lakes. Got him. Yeah. Every time. We got hammered. And I don't know for Fukushima, really, it didn't look like it did too much damage south as compared to north. I think Canada, Pacific Northwest, and the Great Lakes got it pretty hard, though, from Fukushima. Now, we've seen spikes, though, down on, like, the East Coast. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember that one on North Carolina before they completely shut that monitor down in Charlotte. The numbers were like off the charts, crazy. And everyone's like, oh no, that must be broken. And that was the explanation of the EPA. It was broken and they took it offline. But that's what they did every time the readings went high.
Dude, what good does the EPA do if they're just going to lie and not report anything and not protect anything except for their own asses?
Right, and watching porn.
Right, in watching porn. They need to be... And the CDC, same damn thing. What? Yeah. They're not out to protect anyone.
So here, I've been yapping for almost an hour. Let's play this recording that Dane had posted from this phone call from a listener, one of Dane's listeners to the EPA. And just listen to what this woman has to say. And while this is playing, I'm going to go get some coffee, so I'll be right back. But listen closely, because I just couldn't believe it.
Okay, it's April 30th, 2014. I'm on the EPA website. And my section is right in here, which is, I guess they call section 4. Anyway, I'm fixed to make a phone call. I'm also going to be recording it, so hang tight, people. Let's see if I can get this volume up some. Wait a minute. Try this one more time. I'm also going to have to put it on speakerphone. All right, here we go.
afternoon, EPA. How may I help you?
Yes, ma'am. The reason I'm calling, I have a few questions I was wondering if you could help me with.
What kind of questions, ma'am?
What I'm concerned about is what they're spraying on us with these chemtrails on almost a daily basis.
Ma'am, that's not an EPA issue there. That is on investigation. They don't have answers to that, but they do have a documentary coming out this supposed to be 2014. But this is not an EPA issue. No one really knows what is going on with the spraying there. The documentary is entitled, What Are They Spraying and Why Are They Spraying? So
wait a minute. I thought you were the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yes, ma'am, we are, but we are not the ones spraying. That will be the people that have been studying the atmosphere. That is not an EPA issue. That is something that they are trying to find out what is going on. They have questions about it, but it's nothing, as they do the research and find out more information, they are releasing information, and it should be more coming out this, like I said, in 2014.
Well, this is 2014.
Man, I know that, but I don't know when, but that was the last, they said it will be out in 2014. This has nothing to, EPA is not, cannot give any answers on that, because we don't know who's spraying. The researchers are the ones that are doing it.
Well, we know it's the pilots doing it and everything, and we know it's got something to do with government. I thought EPA was a part of government.
They are part of government. We are not the only government agency. We are just part of the government. This is their call. If you can go on the internet and you can key in chemtrails/spraying, and you will get the information that you need on that. This is being researched by solar experts and engineers and climate researchers. And they believe it's being done by government performing secret, atmospheric tests, but they are not sure. And they're the chemical conspiracy.
Yeah, well, there's something like over 50 chemicals, including dead viruses, blood, lead, chromium, strontium, barium, aluminum, all kind of stuff. That's the reason I figured, FDA would have their hands in this. But I guess I was wrong.
We are not the ones it's being researched by the solar experts and the engineers, climate researchers.
Well, then what is your job there? What is the EPA doing then? What are they doing? What are they there for?
Now, what do you mean, what are we here for?
This has got everything to do with climate and everything. We're being...
You're speculating we do, but this is one issue that we are not handling. You can call any research of the solar experts, EPA and climate researchers. This chemtrail and spraying is not an EPA issue. We are not the ones, so they don't even know the answers to this.
Okay.
That's why they are researching it.
Okay.
And it's not being researched by EPA. It's being researched by climate researchers, solar experts, geoengineers.
Okay.
And it is actually doing harm to to killing all the vegetation. The trees are dying, and ozone.
Yeah, not to mention what it's doing to humans and animals, because we're all sick.
Yeah. It's doing some harm. But they don't have any answers. Like I say, the document is entitled, Why Are They Spraying and What Are They Spraying?
Well, I appreciate you answering me those questions.
If you go on the internet, if you can, because this is all information we keep. If you can just key in chemtrails, CHEM.
Oh, we've already done research. Yeah, we was just wondering. I was just taking the next step.
Everybody is wondering. We on the same boat you are.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you talking with me and everything. I did record this for my personal benefit.
Okay.
But I appreciate you talking with me and explaining this to me.
You're quite welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Well, there you have it. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. I said I was going to do this video, and I did. Let me know what you think. God help us.
So what do you think of that?
Wow, man. She was like, that was amazing, actually. She's just like, geoengineering and la-di-da-di-da, chemical conspiracy.
And it's not us. We're not sure who's doing it. I was like, are you kidding me? You gotta watch that doc. How, why in the world, what in the world?
She didn't mention it once. She mentioned that shit twice.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. That's amazing.
So it sounds like the EPA employee actually watched one of the movies.
Yeah.
Their movies, which is great, man, but Yeah, the EPA cannot find out who's spraying, at least so they say, Mike. At least according to the receptionist.
Right. Yeah, the receptionist. That was pretty interesting, I gotta tell you. I mean, if they are supposedly the Environmental Protection Agency, you would think that they would have answers to some of this stuff.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna drop that for anyone who wants to share that around. I'll drop the page or the link to Dane's page. For anyone who is just listening, who's not in chat, it's at geoengineeringwatch.org, and the title of that page is EPA Rep Has Loose Lips About Geoengineering.
That was an awesome clip.
Yeah, it was. It was. I would spread that around because I was like, oh man. But that woman probably is going to get fired, I would imagine, if they identify her. I think she said way too much.
She was just a little too casual, I'd say.
Not our fault.
No.
But I mean, the lady asked a perfect question then. Then what are you there for?
Right.
What do you mean, what are we there for?
To protect the environment, of course.
So now let's listen to this clip about the EPA worker who watched porn every day, but he wasn't fired. Isn't that great? All right.
That's peachy.
Yeah, this is the chick from RT with the Saturday Night Live-esque music. I'm gonna skip over it quick. Alright, here we go. Bink.
The folks who work for the federal government have some serious job security. Take, for instance, the case of an EPA official who was just busted for watching porn for up to 6 hours a day since 2010 on his government computer, where he had stored over 7,000 porn files. That's what Alan Williams, the Deputy Assistant Inspector General for Investigations, just told the House Oversight Committee. He's conducting an investigation into the EPA after a senior official there was collecting paychecks for more than a decade after he actually worked there. Williams said that during the investigation, his office discovered the porn-loving EPA official was habitually watching porn at work. And this is the best part. The guy was even watching porn when Inspector General agents visited his office. The guy's unstoppable. He's a porn-watching machine. So now that's as bad as it gets in terms of how bad you can screw up at work. So did the government just go and fire him right away? Nope. Instead, the guy continued to make his $120,000 a year and has actually gotten performance awards at his time at the EPA. And that's not the only crazy case the investigators found while looking into EPA workers. Renee Page is the director of the agency's Office of Administration. And the investigators found that she's actually been selling jewelry and weight loss pills right out of her EPA office. She was using her government email account to do it, too. But was she fired on the spot? Nope. And in fact, Page received a prestigious Presidential Rank Award in 2010, which she got $35,000 in cash for. So if you're a federal employee, you can really screw up at work, and the government will not only not fire you, they could actually reward you for it. In fact, you remember back in sequestration days, when all the media was talking about was how all the poor federal workers were bound to be laid off with all those budget cuts? Well, guess how many were actually laid off last year? 1. Seriously, exactly 1 person was laid off from the federal government last year out of however many millions they employ. So you can watch porn all day, sell crappy jewelry, steal from taxpayers, ruin the planet. You can do all of these things and not get fired if you work for the U.S. federal government. So, if you're one of those people who worry a lot about losing their job, I've got a new career path for you.
That's what I'm thinking.
Let's talk about that by following me on Twitter at The Resident.
I'm thinking I'm going to go work for the EPA.
Jeez. Yeah, obviously you don't have to have much of a degree to work for them.
Well, you don't have to apparently do anything.
Wow. Now, if that guy had been watching child porn, he probably would have been promoted ahead of the EPA.
Yeah, well, we don't know even what kind of porn it was. It didn't say
Unfreaking
specifically, but He had 7 years. What did she say? 7 years was stored on his computer?
Yeah. 7 years. Doing that every freaking day. For 7 freaking years. And didn't she say that somebody, like, had been paid for 10 years his regular salary even after having
worked there?
Worked there? I mean, what the... Okay. Let me ask again. What good is it to even have this agency if it's so overbloated, so it's just like a money pit. Nobody does anything. Nobody does their jobs. Nobody wants to go out there and actually protect anything.
No.
So why do we even have this agency to begin with? I'm for getting rid of all the alphabet soup agencies because they're completely worthless and useless. Time in and time out.
I mean, the sad fact of the matter is that the EPA, if it ever had teeth, doesn't have teeth now. And it's because all the people that they would have to be going against would be the corporations that were paying endlessly for profit. And that's not going to happen.
No.
Not going to happen. But yeah, he was watching porn for 6 hours a day. So that must have been an hour to get his coffee in the morning, check his email, talk to his boss, and then an hour in the afternoon to go get a decaf, check his email, talk to his boss. So between 9 and 4 was porn central.
Dude, maybe I wouldn't want to clean out his desk after he left.
Dickies take on a whole new meaning.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah. Let's see what other fun. I mean, there's just so much crap that has happened since Friday even. Should we stick to federal offices? I'm sure I could find something else that's horrible. Oh, here. How about you remember the Mandela funeral that Obama spent? Oh my God, they all spent millions to go there, right?
Right.
And they had alphabet agencies all around to protect the president. And then it comes out that the sign language interpreter is some whack job fake who then said he was having hallucinations. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The dude wasn't even signing anything.
Right.
He was just gibberish. And then they find out that he's done it before, but he's like standing right next to the president. And when the, and I don't even remember what African nation it was in. It was so long ago, but whatever African nation it was in, they had their officials go to that agency to start inquiring, and apparently the company had like shut its doors and left. So who the hell knows? Well, guess what? This dude just like pops back up again. And now he's in some, commercial.
What?
Well, that mocking out, and the best part is, he's mocking out the incident. And he's doing a commercial for a video sharing app made by a company in Tel Aviv.
Oh my God.
No way! Come on! This sounds like a beginning of a bad joke.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, but this is it's BBC to come out with something like this. So hold on 1 second.
Tamsanja Janchi first gained notoriety as the bogus sign language interpreter at Nelson Mandela's memorial service. His meaningless gestures provoked anger from the deaf community and proved an embarrassment for the South African government. Now he's resurfaced in a promotional video for an Israeli startup company, making light of the incident.
Was it the end? No.
In the commercial for the LiveLens mobile app, Mr. Janchi speaks to the camera while a female voiceover explains what his signing actually means.
Oh no.
The interpreter blamed his performance at Mandela's memorial last December on a schizophrenic episode. He told the BBC he wasn't a fraud, he was simply unwell.
Wow, I don't like the way they do this reporting.
That's weird, man.
It's still going.
Simply unwell.
They have no audio.
LiveLens CEO Max Blueblin stands by the decision to include him in their ad despite concerns for his mental health. He denied claims the company helped to secure Mr. Janchi's temporary release from a psychiatric hospital and said he took part of his own free will during day release. The advert has been heavily criticised by members of the deaf community on social media, but Mr. Blueblend said it was not their intention to offend anyone. Claire Brennan, BBC News.
They got him released from a facility to do the commercial.
Released from a facility? How the hell did the Israelis pull that crap off?
But here, it said that it embarrassed the African government.
Right.
And I don't remember who else they said, but they didn't mention anything about the U.S. government. And if this guy's story is even true, which I think he was full of shit, but that he was having some sort of like schizophrenic psychotic episode, standing next to Obama.
Angels were coming into the stadium,
yes, right? Remember that? And the gobbledygook that he was spewing out there that nobody noticed that this dude was like on crack. Standing right next to Obama? Like, I just don't get. I would have to say that his Secret Service people who've been caught more than once with hookers and booze when they've been in other countries might have been working on hookers and booze in Africa.
I would venture to say so. I mean, geez, so let's
How
get
did
this
no
straight.
one catch that?
Right, absolutely. The Secret Service isn't really doing a good job protecting the president. It seems like these protection agencies aren't doing their jobs. And what do? They all get frickin' promoted. They don't
and
get
they all
fired.
get nice big paychecks.
Yeah!
From the taxpayer. Wow!
From the taxpayer, yes. We are paying for nothing.
Everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff that makes me feel baseball batty.
Yeah, I would say so. And they're not even doing their jobs right. I mean, that guy could have flipped right out, Oh my God, the angel's telling me to
kill him. As he's pulling out a knife. I mean, honestly.
Whatever.
And all that time, he was standing right next to him.
Yeah, directly next to him. Arms length away.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They're just damn lucky, really, that nothing wiggy happened to that guy, even though he was completely weak. That's just, and I remember him, just going, la la la, staring off with a glazed eye into the sky. I mean, it's nuts.
We'll see if we can find one.
I remember that glazed look in the dude's eye too. And I didn't realize he was still in a freaking facility.
Here, Mandela Sign Language interpreter says he suffered schizophrenic episode. If I remember, he was hard to understand.
Yeah.
We're hearing now from that infamous imposter at Nelson Mandela's memorial service. The sign language interpreter on stage, just inches from President Obama, was displaying the sign equivalent of gibberish. He says he was seeing angels. ABC's Gio Benitez here with the latest. Good morning, Gio.
Good morning, George. So many asking, how was he even there? Now, the South African government speaking out this morning, and so is the interpreter himself, saying he's schizophrenic. This morning, a shocking confession from the man at the center of an international controversy.
I see angels come to the stadium.
Speaking out for the first time since his head-scratching translation of Nelson Mandela's memorial. Sign language interpreter Tamasankwa Janchi says he isn't a fraud like so many have claimed, but that he had a schizophrenic episode during the event and that he started hallucinating.
Sometimes I will react violence. Sometimes I will see like things like chasing me, and then I was in a very, very, very difficult position.
Janchi admitting he is currently seeking treatment for schizophrenia and that he has been violent in the past. The revelation raising grave concerns this morning. Janchi was front and center at the memorial, just feet away from Mandela's family and 91 heads of state. But it wasn't long before people started noticing his signs didn't match the other translator on South African television.
We applaud you and thank you for that.
One expert, who's deaf, told us through an interpreter that Janchi didn't even know the sign for the name Nelson Mandela.
This is a sign for Mandela because of the fact that he used to comb his hair in a side path.
Janshi insists that he's interpreted several high-profile events before, including this one alongside President Zuma.
If I've offended anyone, please forgive me.
And the South African government now saying this morning it did not hire the interpreter. Instead, the government says it paid the company he works for. Owners of that company have now disappeared. George and Robin?
At least for a while. Okay, Gia, thanks.
Oh, there you go. So, I don't know. The whole thing just seemed super shady. So now he shows up in some Israeli commercial?
That's crazy.
That's kind of weird. I wonder if he's like some sort of Israeli spy.
A Mossad agent that doesn't know sign language.
Yeah. Oh no, they didn't tell me I had to brush up on my sign language. Wait, did we play that clip on Friday, with them coming out saying that Israel's still spying on us?
Oh, I think so. I think it was the last clip you played.
Yeah, damn.
You snuck it right in there at the very end. I think you snuck it in.
Yeah, maybe. So, I don't know. I saw,
it's weird. How would the Israelis, like, be able to bounce him out of a psychiatric ward?
Well, if they put him into a psychiatric ward just for the storyline, no.
Yeah, I guess
then
so.
They sprung him. They'll be his babysitter. But here, let's continue a little bit on Africa for a minute. So, I talked about this about a week ago. I'm going to tell you, I still have seen nothing. What is happening with the Ebola that was out of control?
Yeah,
not a freaking word.
That's weird.
But I see MERS. They just said now MERS cases are up by 3 more, bringing the death toll now to 142. Ooh. But not one dribble about Ebola. And that was after that reported story saying that there were 40 people that had shown up in Italy that had a strain of Ebola that wasn't showing up on the test that they've been using. And that the Italian ministry was getting involved, and that was the end of that. I never heard another word. And now you're not only not hearing anything about Europe, you're not hearing anything about Africa.
Not at all. Which is bizarre. Like, I'm going in the search engine now, and usually, don't these things, like, come in, like, by dates, like, by, like, the latest post?
Well, yeah, you gotta sort if you wanna make it actually work, cause they screw with it now. They'll give you stuff that's 5 years old up top, but, African Ebola outbreak shows no signs of slowing, and this was from April 23rd. So, no signs of slowing. 159 cases as of April 15th. Wait, let's see. 2 days ago. Oh! Look! The World Health Organization, dramatic improvement in controlling the Ebola outbreak now, according to the World Health Organization. Except that, as of a few weeks ago, and I will tell you, there were quotes because it really scared me. This is the worst outbreak they had ever seen. It was not being contained. It was all over. They're now fearing that it's broken containment. Do you remember those headlines?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was like panic headlines.
Yes.
Now, AP as of May 9th, dramatic improvement in controlling Ebola outbreak. Well, how the hell did that mysteriously happen with no cure, no medicine in freaking Africa?
Wow.
Dramatic improvements.
Yeah, all of a sudden,
out of the blue,
it's not there anymore. Don't worry about it.
I had found a story when I was looking the other day that said at the bottom that they were trying to get a handle on it. And this was probably from the very beginning of May. So May 1st or maybe April 30th. It was just one little blurb in a story that had talked about the whole thing, and it says they're trying to get a handle on it, and they think that if they get a handle on it, they won't even need to be reporting statistics anymore. And I was like, wait, where did I hear that before? Wasn't that when we had the supposed pig swine flu thing going on, remember? And everybody was showing up with it, or nobody was, who knows? But they decided they weren't even going to count anymore. So then they could say whatever it was. They could say that it was bad or they could say that it was over. How would you know if there were no official numbers?
Absolutely.
So here we go. So they say we have a dramatic improvement somehow with some magical something in controlling the Ebola outbreak that had spread to 3 or 4 large nations, one with an international airport in Africa. I'm telling you, I think that this is something that they've been percolating and they thought it was ready to rock and roll and then they went, oh, not far enough yet. Wait, back it off. Don't get people yet.
Right,
back it off. And I'll tell you what, this will come back around again. They'll be like, oh, remember that outbreak in Africa?
Right.
People in every country now.
Every country. I think I had, it was a couple of weeks ago, the MERS surfaced in like the Carolinas.
I saw it was in Illinois. I didn't see Carolinas.
It was, I had read, the story on air. In fact, I remember reading that.
You know, and here's the other thing. For this Ebola, dramatic improvement in controlling it, yet it says here the mortality rate for this outbreak is close to 70%, and that is within the typical range for Ebola, which can actually be up to about 90% mortality.
Mm-hmm.
So either everyone who got it pretty much died.
Right.
Or they've been managing to catch it with the tests that didn't work, that a few of the articles had said they discovered there was another strain and the tests weren't picking it up. But I don't see how they can claim with no vaccine, high fever, and bleeding out all of your orifices and an incubation period of 21 days so you could go anywhere before you even know you have it, that they seem to have a dramatic improvement in the control of Ebola.
Yeah, how the hell can they say that?
In this 5-paragraph little press release from Associated Press. Bullshit, I say.
Shit. That's dangerous.
Well, I think it's meant to be.
Yeah, because...
Like I said before, they really want to take guns or they really want to take over or whatever. You know what? Swooping in and taking your guns is going to cause problems. But dropping, feds have had lots of experience on dropping virulent things from the sky on people. And Dane said it a million times. You know, they're spraying all this shit on us. What's it going to take for them to change the mixture one day?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to take very much, I'm sure.
As they hose us all with Ebola, and our family members are bleeding out of every orifice, you're not going to feel much like fighting.
Right, well, guns aren't going to protect you from something like that anyway. You can have all the damn guns and ammo in the world, ain't it going to help?
Yep.
Ain't going to help.
And I don't know, you know, color me purple. When I start putting myself in the mind of the criminal cartel, you know, I start thinking, wow, that would probably be a good plan to take a lot of us out all at once now, wouldn't it?
Sure would.
And get rid of this whole gun issue and get rid of all these militia people who, for whatever reason, mistaken or not, are standing up. That would just fix a lot of them now, wouldn't it? And hey, only 10 to 30% of the population is going to survive, so that would make it a much more manageable number.
That's right. Absolutely. And all the militias in the world won't be able to stop that shit from falling on our heads.
Nope. And for the 10 to 30% that are left, hey, the whole infrastructure will break down, so there's not going to be any food, not going to be any electricity, so you'll be begging for the government to come help you, because they might have a vaccine, they might have food. Hey, you might even want to go into a FEMA camp.
That's right.
So, I don't know. Like I said, color me purple.
Color me Monday.
Color me Monday, yes. Our mug this morning said, OMFG, it's Monday. I hate Mondays. I'm going to drop this dramatic improvement bullshit Associated Press story into chat.
You should save that, because...
Yeah, I might have to.
You're going to need to roll this out in a couple more months.
Whoa, it's if I roll over a commercial. Stop! Now they're making me launch it. No!
I prefer the fast lane, just like Frontier. Get in the Frontier fast.
I gotta kill the whole browser. I couldn't even close the ad. They said, you rolled over it twice? We have to play it.
Crazy.
All right.
It's absolutely nuts.
So, now we've talked about all kinds of fun stuff. Where do we go from here? So
Yeah,
do you want to hear the clip about MERS? Because MERS is another one that has no cure. Honestly, I thought it was upper respiratory, but I didn't think it was anywhere near as bad as SARS. They're trying to make it out that there's no cure and people are dying. The mortality rate isn't anywhere near as high as the Ebola, which is why I honestly thought Ebola was a much bigger story than MERS, right?
Yeah.
And I saw something the other day warning about freaking camels again. And when I first started looking into this, they were saying that MERS, they think, comes from camels. Ebola, they think, comes from fruit bats. Now, that's the first I've ever heard either of those.
Right.
So when I did a quick search online, I did see a reference to MERS originating potentially, they thought, in camels from last year, but there was no significant history behind that.
Mm-hmm.
For the Ebola, I found a couple different hits that actually talked about the potential of it coming from fruit bats. Again, though, there have been outbreaks before, and I don't remember anyone ever blaming the animals.
Yeah, they always blame the freaking animals. I mean, I was just scanning over stuff last night, and they were showing this stupid show about how fleas that were on rats caused the Black Death.
Well, they could. No, that's actually something that I've read quite a bit about.
Mm-hmm.
The plague can be carried in infected blood by the fleas, and the fleas and ticks can also transmit all kinds of different horrible diseases.
Oh yeah, especially ticks, yeah.
Yeah. So that is possible, and they have had cases of the plague show up in do you remember? I don't know if I even had anyone on as co-host back at that time, but there was a story about a father and his kids who had rented a cabin up in one of the mountain states, maybe Montana, Wyoming, somewhere up there. Mm-hmm. And it was the beginning of the season. They go in and there was mouse shit all over the place. Well, the plague can be spread through mouse shit because the mice get it. And I don't remember if the daughter died or not, but I know she got very sick, and it was like one of the first cases of the plague in who knows how many years here in the U.S., but it still happens.
Wow.
But it's typically in mice that it gets spread.
Interesting. All the animals are carriers.
Yeah, I don't know if all of them are. But
little camels, I mean.
Yeah, let's
what I
make
mean?
up a
Pigs,
new one.
I mean, there's the pig virus and all this crap, I mean.
Oh, and I'll tell you what, that diarrhea virus that the pigs all have now, there was a big story, and I don't know if we played that clip, but it kind of bothered me to know that, I mean, all these piglets are dying from dehydration, and it's because they get this uncontrollable diarrhea. They're not sure where this came from. They hadn't seen it here before. It does exist in China, so somehow it mysteriously got here from China. But it's now like at a level of hazmat where it can be spread. It lives in the soil. So it can be spread from the dirt on your tires, going from one pig farm to another. So these pig farms now are like cracking down on their own hazmat protection by making sure their boots are clean and making sure their tires are clean from going here to there and from going from one field to the next. But again, where are alphabet agencies like the EPA, like the CDC, like the FDA for the meat? Where are these guys?
Yeah. They're watching frickin' porn.
Yeah, they're watching porn. Yes, Mike and Jack's hantavirus. You gotta be very careful in the spring when you go into your shed or you open up the grill that's been sitting outside. Oh, Dale says it's a virus. I really haven't paid too much attention to Hanta, but I know it can make you pretty damn sick.
What was the virus that was years ago? Was it SARS or was it the avian flu? Which one of those came from pigs, supposedly?
That was swine flu.
Swine flu, there we go. See?
But this last round, and this was the one that Obama then declared the state of emergency that then opened the doors for the fast tracking for vaccines from the FDA and let in the European squalene variant of the swine flu vaccine.
Yes.
But remember, people still, first of all, people didn't go get their vaccines. He claimed there was a shortage. I call bullshit. There wasn't. They really, really wanted to get squalene into the U.S. market because it was banned. Which of course that's the stuff that they tested on all my friends in the first Gulf War, that none of them can have kids now. And all have that, I can never remember what it's called. Where you're really tired all the time.
Chronic
fatigue.
Chronic fatigue.
Yeah. But yeah, so the swine flu that came through a few years ago, though, after they wanted everyone to go get vaccinated and no one did, then they claimed that it was a shortage in the vaccine. So we had to declare a state of emergency to make sure we had enough vaccine, which opened the doors, which allowed them to ship it in. That virus, when they started to look at it, I remember the press release, they're like, wow, this is like nothing we've ever seen before. It's a combination of swine flu and avian flu and this other flu variant, and these have never combined in nature before. Really? Well, that tells me that probably that story I saw a year or two ago about being able to buy centrifuges for $10 a piece and all the equipment to make your own biolab in your garage on eBay is probably true then.
Yeah.
Or we got Plum Island cooked up again.
Exactly. What the hell else are they releasing?
I mean, Plum Island's empty now, right? Didn't they move that entire lab of kill all civilizations and animal biowarfare development office to Kansas? They did.
Supposedly.
They did. Right to the middle of the freaking whatever they call it, the breadbasket of the U.S. In the middle of all the freaking farming, they move this bio-warfare, which I was just reading something the other day about paperclip. I think I heard you talking about how all the scientists were retards. Somebody was, that we got all the rejects here in the United States.
Yeah.
And the other ones all went over to Germany to
Jimmy
Russia.
said it.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think that we got some good ones, at least ones that had a propensity for evil. But I was reading that some of them went to go actually work at Plum Island, and that's what they were working on, was biowarfare. Wow. You know, that's where they say Lyme disease came from. I think we talked about that before, and then they let it out.
Yep.
In the mosquitoes, which I have to say, you know, after I read that story a few years ago, there was a whole bunch of FOIA documents, and I put some 2 and 2 together, because we used to go to Thousand Islands, then my mom got really sick, and it was mass. Soon as sundown, you would get just attacked by mosquitoes. And it was shortly thereafter, my mother couldn't walk anymore. Jeez. And in the end, they diagnosed it as quote-unquote Lyme's disease, but she never remembered having a tick bite anywhere. I think it was the friggin' mosquitoes. You know what? I couldn't find that article anymore.
Really?
I'm sure that anything like that has been scrubbed.
Oh, I'm sure. And you know what makes me, they say they moved that facility, but what took its place? What the hell are they doing now at the Plum Island facility? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't trust anything these bastards say anymore.
Well, right. What are they doing at Plum Island now if they move the facility to Kansas?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, dude. There is a river rat right underneath me. Like,
out the back?
Yeah, out back, dude. He just went under, he swam under a log and kept going. That was pretty cool. Sorry.
Speaking of
man. But what are they doing? I mean, I don't trust anything these bastards say. Yeah, they move all these incredibly, like, high level, like, you know, diseases and God knows what else they were doing at Plum Island. They moved it to Kansas. I mean, but then what now is going on? They haven't shut that facility down. I mean, they say they shut it down, but really, I mean, you can, it's just, the whole thing pisses me off.
This is from January 2014, so this is pretty recent news. One of the things I was going to mention is that after when that first happened, I was screaming about it. I'm like, what a bunch of idiots! Why would you take something like that at least is offshore? Even though it's offshore of New York City, at least it's offshore, and move it to the heartland. How dumb is that, you know? But they came out about 6 months later or so, and they said, hello, maybe we didn't think about this enough, because moving this facility now to Kansas, really, if there was ever an escape, it could cause some real problems. Well, of course, by design.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how all these animal diseases are cropping up everywhere now.
Yeah.
Here. This is from the New Jersey Daily from January of 2014, January 29th, as a matter of fact. Conspiracy theorists' favorite lab is moving to Kansas. The biological research facility at Plum Island, thought by some to have propagated Lyme's disease, is relocating at a cost of more than $1 billion. The story about Plum Island, an unremarkable 3-mile strip off the coast of Long Island that has long played home to Plum Island Animal Disease Center, are the stuff of comic book and horror movies. Oh, listen to this asswipe. During the Cold War, folks said that it was home to a secret biological weapons program involving a former Nazi scientist. Hey, I must be one of them conspiracy theorists, I think.
Here you go.
Years later, it was blamed for the spread of Lyme disease, which was named for a town in nearby Connecticut. The latter claim was so persistent that the Department of Homeland Security still refutes it on his website. Of course they do. Plum, if you look into Lyme disease and you look at how that works and those little, I don't even remember what they're called, but whatever those things are that it releases, these spigotes they're called. They're these little spiral corkscrew things that they release into your bloodstream, and those suckers get into all your joints and embed themselves deep down inside, so no medication can really get to them. You gotta get it with some hardcore antibiotics very early on, but then it goes dormant, and then it can show up 20 years from now and cripple you.
Holy crap.
It's pretty scary shit. If you really look into how it works and inside, it's very alien. So to me, I don't know. When I spent time looking into that, I mean, I had personal interest because of things that had happened in my past that I really wanted to understand, you know, what it was and how it worked. It seemed pretty bizarro to me, and it almost seemed like it had this intelligence to it that it knew to hide, and it knew where to hide.
Weird.
It says Plum Island has also been the setting for a novel and the subject of a TV show, Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. And it even got a shout out from the fictional boogeyman Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. Now the government is spending more than $1 billion to move the lab, which studies swine flu, foot and mouth disease, and other livestock ailments from New York to Manhattan, Kansas. Oh, how nice. They're moving it to Manhattan, Kansas. So just to confuse the historians in the future. Right, just outside of Manhattan, New York to Manhattan, Kansas.
Right. Oh my God.
And now the conspiracy talk is happening again. The project, which received $404 million in the latest appropriations bill, has alternately been described as a vital government priority, an earmarkish piece of pork, an economic boost to the locals, and a biological danger to the rural community, depending on who is talking. It is a sterling reminder that there is more than one way to view a government expenditure. Wow, this guy is like a real asshole, isn't he?
Yeah, total asswipe.
Like, he's sarcastically jabbing. You know what, dude? When you're running with your family that's bleeding out of every orifice, then I hope you remember the stupid article that you wrote.
Yeah, no shit.
This, as an elected official from Kansas tells it, moving what is now called the National Bio and Agro Defense Facility from the 843-acre off-limit campus on Plum Island to a site adjacent to Kansas State University represents a huge economic victory. So are we going to have unseasoned university students walking in and out of this high-profile, virulent disease facility?
Sounds like it. Sounds like they're going to get first-hand schooling
on how to build bioterror.
Yeah.
Nice.
More microbiologists are needed.
Nice.
Why not
because
give
the
them
number's up to
backyard?
What's the number of deaths up to? 134, something like that. They, you know what? They weren't with the program. They had to take them out. They got to get ones that are now going to be financed by the feds. So, you know, you got that carrot dangle. We'll make sure you have a job.
where's the best crop to go look for those people? In the colleges.
Right. A report in 2012 estimated that the new lab will have roughly 326 permanent employees and support some 757 construction jobs, and that the facility is expected to have a $3.5 billion economic impact on Kansas in its first 20 years alone. The state itself is committed $202 million. But not everyone is smiling. For those who oppose the relocation, news of the funding represented the inevitability that one of the world's largest quote-unquote germ labs, as they describe it, will be located in their community in the heart of cattle and agricultural lands. Hey, isn't that what I said?
That's right.
Why the hell would you be moving it there? Why don't you move it out to the middle of the desert in New Mexico that's already freaking contaminated with radiation beyond belief?
Exactly.
By the way, remind me, I want to talk about that WIP facility. There was an update that came out, and they think it was kitty litter that caused it. And they've been, and it's even worse than that, because now they're thinking that all of the bins that are out there in all these facilities could start burning out, starting on fire with a chemical reaction, because they've been using the wrong kitty litter.
Oh my God, dude.
Talk about absolute incompetence. And this is with Manhattan Project waste, people, the most toxic waste on the planet.
Oh my God.
I know.
It's just not stopping.
And here's even better. Hey, look, someone else thought of this. Another activist, Thomas Manny, a professor emeritus at Kansas State University's Department of Physics and Division of Biology, raises concerns that the location of the lab puts it right inside Tornado Alley.
Oh, wow. Didn't they ever consider that?
Apparently not. Honestly. I mean, okay, out on an island off of the coast of Long Island, there was a potential for getting hit with hurricanes. But hey, at least a hurricane's gonna wash it all out to sea. And hey, it couldn't be any worse than all the Fukushima shit that's washing out there. They say that's gonna all disperse. Well, all the most toxic pathogens washed out to sea wouldn't do much damage then, right?
Right.
But a tornado hitting the facility could really spread some major shit our direction.
Yeah, and it would be a cornucopia of all the stuff all just mixed into one.
And
one big tornado with a freaking, 3-state path. You know what I mean? A mile wide.
I mean, even in the shape of a cornucopia.
Right, exactly. That's why I said that. I mean, it would be, there you go. Spread it to the winds. Oh my God.
Exciting thought.
It's hideous. It's hideous. Oh my God. And they're there now. Obviously, they're all established. Obviously.
Well, I don't know. This is January, so I had thought they had moved already, so I'm not sure if they've opened up yet. This was
$3 billion moving tab too. God, man.
3? I thought, I don't.
Was it a $1 billion moving tag?
Yeah,
$1 billion. Yeah. Oh my God, dude.
I don't know.
Any insider would know, like, the convoy or whatever being, like, transported and when it would go. You know what I mean? I mean, they could just make anything happen. It's crazy.
I'm just looking if there's anything else worth reading in this article. Back in Washington, it wasn't the germs that caused some concern. It was the money. Of course. It's all about the money. For now, the fiscal fights in Washington may have slowed the pace of actual construction. Obama originally proposed spending $714 million in 2014, but only $404 million was appropriated. That plus earlier federal expenditures and state money amount to about 2/3 of the total cost of the project. An official groundbreaking has already been held, and completion is expected in 2018. Whatever the arguments, the lab is heading to Kansas. So
unbelievable. 2018, huh?
2018. Yeah, I'll drop that. Man, we're gonna run out of time, and that just made me think of a few other things I wanted to talk about, but let's see.
We got tomorrow.
Yeah, we do have tomorrow. So, hey, has anybody heard from Zori? Did she make it? Does anybody know?
No,
I heard she made it to Texas, but I don't know if she made it back to Nevada.
I have no idea. I didn't even hear she made it to Texas, so.
Oh, I saw in chat somebody say that she had made it to Texas, but.
Oh, very good.
I haven't seen anything since then.
Yeah.
Let me go to my WTF page, cause I know. Oh, well, wait a minute. No, let's go to my personal page, and none of my personal friends commented on this, so I'm sure with my gargoyle header picture that I put up there now, and, let's see, the top stories, Dracula's castle is for sale, Osama bin Laden lookalike comes to welcome World Cup tourists, and, oh wait, number 3, Catholic Church condemns Black Mass reenactment at Harvard University today.
Oh, I saw that.
Did you? What the hell is that?
I saw the clip.
They're reenacting a black mass for educational purposes only in the basement of Harvard University today.
Yeah, isn't that creepy?
That is insane. Why would you know what? Why would you even if you don't believe in any of that shit, why would you tempt fate?
Well, my first question was, where in the hell is the if they're so wigged out about prayer in school and all this crap, why separation of church and state, blah, blah, blah.
Harvard's private, so they could do whatever they want.
Well, there you go. Well, dang, so now they're into, like, black masses and...
Well, what I was thinking is,
good God, man.
There's so much DARPA cash that goes into all of these Ivy League schools, okay? Mm-hmm. And there's all these skull and bones groups that have come out of these Ivy League schools. So it'd be a perfect place for it, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Nobody would question it. Well, people are questioning it, but nobody's really doing anything about it because it's for educational purposes.
I just think that this is, you know what, you want to go see a black mass, go find Anton LaVey. I could guarantee you that he would love for you to sit in on a mass somewhere.
Yep.
Why would you... I mean, when I was in college, I took a class, an anthropology course called Magic, Witchcraft, and Sorcery. And it was a senior level class. I was a freshman. So I should have known better because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It was a pretty grueling class and it was like hardcore anthropology. But what was pretty damn cool is we got to see some psycho stuff. And one of it was an actual voodoo ceremony filmed out of, New Orleans. It was pretty awful, actually. They were like chopping the heads off of chickens and spraying blood all over the place.
Damn.
But you know what? That was for educational purposes. I actually was very into medieval literature. That's what I studied. You know, that's what I spent a lot of my time in college, creation myths. I did it all in high school. I mean, I was in the advanced English class. So that's kind of what we did for those 3 years. We dealt with all of the original, what do they call them? With the heroes like Gilgamesh and Beowulf and
Odysseus.
and all those original stories. So I mean, to me, the whole witchcraft component is a huge part of the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, the Black Plague. You know what I mean? And of course, Monty Python, Bring Out Your Dead, just brought that like to the forefront. So I really was totally into it. But I got to tell you, though that was for educational purposes, the class was not focused on like performing masses. Like if he had said, all right, show up here at midnight in the basement and we're gonna, for educational purposes, we're gonna perform a voodoo ritual where we chop the head off a chicken and spray you all with blood, I'd be like, hell no, dude. Like, one thing watching like a film from 1970 of somebody filming it versus actually being a part of it. So here, I want to play this clip because I'm horrified at this. And shame on you, Harvard University. This to me, I don't think is educational. This is, you know, if you believe anything in good versus bad vibrations or light versus dark or whatever, why would you even give this a chance? Why would you even allow this at your facility? If there is any type of, like, line where a doorway could open, why would you allow? I just don't understand. We don't know. You know what? Just like we didn't know that there were viruses that killed people back 200 years ago.
Right.
You know, it's magic that it happens. Oh, we put leeches on that makes you better. You know what I mean? So just because you don't think that there's anything to it now does not mean necessarily that there's nothing to it.
Exactly. Bingo. You just hit it on the head.
You know, I've had enough bizarro experiences in my life that I can't explain, of weird things that have happened here, there, and other places in different circumstances. I'm not going to discount any of this stuff.
You shouldn't either, because the more energy that's put into it, this is why they're doing it, is because the more they do it, it's like that satanic statue that was put up in front of City Hall. I don't know if it's in California or Texas.
Yeah, no, it's in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. So,
Satan,
same thing there.
That was financed and people are screaming. Actually, I thought that was kind of funny. Because it was protesting the right of free speech, and they wanted to put 10 Commandments up in front of there.
Mm-hmm.
And so some private satanic group out of New York, and it might even be the same group, financed putting this sculpture of Satan out front too.
It's just the energies that are going into these things that make a difference out there in the
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Guys, we output. You know, sound and waves and vibration are all real. And we don't even understand a drop of that energy yet.
Absolutely. But they do.
Yeah, they do. Well, I mean, when you talk about, and this is getting way beyond now because I only have 5 minutes left, so I can't get into a conversation about the Gnostics and the pre-Catholic, Judeo-Christian religions, but they all knew stuff and all that shit's hidden somewhere, and I predict it's probably the basement of the Vatican. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are ways to manipulate things that I think that if we understood, we would be able to tap into.
Yeah.
All right, here, I want to play this before we run out of time. So this is about the Black Mass that's happening today at Harvard University in the basement. Maybe.
You have home equity in your back pocket.
Oh, God.
Why not use it? Discover how quick and easy smart borrowing can be with a strong home equity line of credit from Salem 5 Bank. Check out their great offers and apply today at
every commercial.
I have to hang up. They don't have mutes anymore on commercials.
Yeah, it's every single video too. It doesn't matter anymore. Every single one of them.
All right, let's get through this 12-minute freaking commercial. All right, here we go.
And Satan at Harvard. Controversy tonight as a student group is set to host a black mass on campus. Good evening to you. I'm Jonathan Elias. Thanks for being with us tonight. It is an event at the Archdiocese of Boston right now is condemning. Katie Brace is joining us live in Cambridge tonight with more on this story. Katie?
And Jonathan, a reenactment of a satanic mass is scheduled to be held in the basement of this Harvard University building. And it has raised the question, is it education or a religious attack?
A planned mass has created controversy at Harvard University. Not the usual religious mass, but a black mass. And it's attracted the attention of the Catholic Church and students.
It's kind of troubling, especially to Christians. But at the same time, if they're doing it for academic inquiry, this should be a safe place where you're supposed to be able to do that.
A black mass celebrating Satan is scheduled for Monday in the basement of Memorial Hall. The Harvard Extension Cultural Studies Club is hosting the Satanic Temple of New York. It bills the event as an educational event for students.
Educational purposes definitely gives you a reason to look into anything.
The Archdiocese of Boston wants the university to put a stop to it. In a statement, the church says, in part, this activity separates people.
Hello, hello. Hello?
Yeah, I just had mass crash on both computers at the same time.
Oh my God. That was crazy.
Yeah, well, I have a black screen now for my Black Mass video.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
The other one just choked, but I think Skype's at least back, but nothing, everything's spinning. Oh my God.
No way.
Alright, I guess.
From God and the human community. It is contrary to charity and goodness, and it places participants dangerously close to destructive works of evil. Some students also question the educational value.
Whoops.
Did it again, eh?
Yeah, I don't know if now I have a white screen. Well, you got the gist. They are going to be running Black Mass in the basement of Harvard University today.
Wow.
Isn't Harvard where they're working on the RoboBees project with DARPA.
I think so.
Isn't it RoboBees? I believe so. It's robobees.harvard.edu.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, put that in the search engine. You'll
Yeah,
find
no, actually 6609. I think it's more than a flash crash on this machine right now. Here's a link to that biolab story.
You know, okay. It just, the biolab and the satanic ritual all tie in retrospect that why would you put a giant biolab for educational purposes right next to a freaking college?
It's all DARPA money that's going into all these schools.
Right.
It is.
But it makes as much sense. That satanic ritual at Harvard makes as much educational sense as putting that biolab at Kansas State University for educational purposes. I mean, it makes no sense. None of it. None of it does. I mean, that was my point.
They're just looking to have a horrible accident.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. I mean, it's tempting fate. I try to go out of my way to not tempt fate. Okay? Yeah. I've learned my lesson. I've tempted fate many times in my life, and every single time I manage to get burned, it comes back and it bites me, and for all I thought I was getting away with, I wasn't.
Right.
So don't tempt fate. That's all. Just do the right thing because nobody's looking.
That's right. That's great. Wow, what a great way to end the show, Jules.
It is. Well, you shouldn't have to have someone tell you that it's right around. Yes, it is Harvard, guys. robobees.cs.harvard.edu.
Wow.
Yes. So it's all DARPA. They're also the ones that have been doing all the research on swarms and controlling swarms remotely. So I'm so excited they're having a black mass there today. All right, guys, everybody stick around. Will Roberts is up next with Vocal Local, then Mr. John Stokes and Jack Blood, then Mr. Jimmy Funky at 8 p.m. Eastern. Truth on the Tracks with Brandon Turville. This is going to be a really good one tonight. Primer Time Replay with Dan and Michael, and the Anti-Media Radio with Nick Burnaby and DB. Hey, May 24th, March Against Monsanto again worldwide. Everybody make sure we do something. Thank you so much for being here today, Wendy.
Thank you.
Everybody for listening. Have a better Monday now that we are after the last cup. All right, guys. I'll be around for a while. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.